Hi and welcome to this Tuesday Talk preview, just a short vlog on something just to get people thinking. There's no conclusion at the end of this one, so that we can maybe discuss it in a bit more detail in the Tuesday Talk, which is going to be at 7 PM every Tuesday. And it's about guild tax. So this caught my eye at the weekend when I saw a post about it. I saw a blue response. Those tend to be the ones that sort of flash up. And it turns out the blue response was simply telling people not to necro it. It was an old post. But the idea of guild tax, we've had something similar in the game before, but it's not quite worked out the same, and it didn't really work before. So what did we have before? We had a situation where they decided to have guild levels, and I think it came in Cataclysm, but I can't remember exactly. I know it was definitely in full swing in MOP, and the idea was you got achievements with your guild. It was almost like getting experience with your guild, and you got various perks. Then you got to the max rank of 25, and there was all your perks. We're still left with some of them, like the mobile guild bank, but one of them was that a certain proportion of gold that you looted off mobs, and I think got for quest rewards as well, but I'm not 100% certain on that. A certain percentage of it would also go to the guild bank, but it was generated extra. So it wasn't taken from your coffers. It wasn't like you loot 20 gold and a gold goes to the guild bank, so you're left with 19 gold. You were still left with 20 gold. This was automatically generated. And it caused a few problems. The major problem it caused were what were termed cesspool guilds. Because what would happen with a proper guild, a guild that actually existed for some purpose that needed several players to work together, say PvP or PvE, then, like, take Raid, for example. Raiding is my endgame raison d'etre in this game. And you could use it to purchase consumables. So you could get flasks and food and maybe even potions and stuff like that, to even repair bills potentially, to ease the burden on your raiders, particularly the raiders that were chuntering about having to farm for gold for paying for the actual raiding. So it works well for that. Unfortunately, at the other end, you had a load of people going, well, if I just create a guild and then persuade a load of new or very casual novice players to join my guild and say it's a great social experience, then I can basically do nothing. I just have to have something that randomly spams people with guild invites, and that was annoying. Randomly spams people with guild invites. They'll join every time they're out questing or something like that. I'm getting a bit of gold. Okay? And it doesn't matter whether they're not online very much or what. As long and the work is done, the social side of it, they don't even deal with that. Other people will just talk to each other. It's like a license to print money. But of course, you know, those players were sort of trapped in that situation. I remember, because I wanted to research this myself, and this is why I say I know it was in full swing in MOP, because I joined a guild in MOP, which meant I had to realm transfer. So I transferred my main character and joined the guild, of course. But then I followed on an alt a bit later, and I thought, I'm not going to join the guild straight away. I'm going to join one of these random guilds, see what it's like. And it was absolutely appalling. I was there for like a couple of weeks and absolute nonsense being spouted, as I suppose you might expect of, you know, people who are all new to the game. They're just going to feed each other like misinformation. But even from like the so-called leaders of the guild, who were of course the ones profiting, they were telling them things like they were organising groups like LFR groups and telling them it was heroic, saying, oh yeah, well, they weren't like, you know, and so these players were just thinking, oh, what level is it? Oh, it's like heroic. It's the same as... And then when I was trying to question this, and I was saying, no, that's LFR. And someone was trying to, yeah, but it's the same as heroic. And I was like, what? Why don't you just go and do heroic then? If it's the same as heroic, you get better gear. Oh, all sorts of rubbish. But yeah, so I sort of felt that, you know, new players are getting stuck into this guild and being trapped there, because how are they going to learn what else there is? And not a lot of people, of course, look at forums and things like that. So it was definitely a good thing to get rid of it. It would cause all sorts of issues there. But then the guild tax idea. So how does this work in other games, and would this be better? So how it works in other games is literally a tax. So instead of the gold being generated by the game and sent to the guild bank and it doesn't cost you, it does cost you. So this time, if you loot 20 gold from something, 1 gold of it is going to the guild bank and you are left with 19 gold. So you can see that some of your hard-earned gold is going to the guild bank. Now, would this benefit at all? Because the newer players, even casual players, if that's happening, because the other system, they might not even know it's happening unless they read through the guild perks. And even if it is, they don't think they're losing anything themselves. They just see it as the game is giving the guild master money. But maybe if they see that it's their gold going and they make that connection, maybe they start asking questions. Because, of course, the way this tax works is not a fixed rate either. The guild master would set it, obviously within certain limits. You know, you set it somewhere between, say, 0 and 5% seems reasonable. Whatever it happens to be, 0 and 10%, whatever. And maybe as well, if a new tax rate is set while you're offline, next time you come online, you get a message saying, new guild tax rate, 4.5%, something like that. And again, it allows people to query what's happening with this gold. And if there's no reason for the guild exists purely for social reasons, then it doesn't need to generate funds and it can set that tax at 0. Would that potentially still scupper the cesspool guilds, or would that still become a problem if it came in there? And if it would still become a problem, are there still other ways to allow the serious guilds, the guilds, and when I say serious, I don't mean hardcore, I just mean the guilds who are actually going to spend that money from the guild bank on stuff for the benefit of the guild, you know, consumables for PvP or PvE, whatever it happens to be. So maybe you could say, well, maybe it should be based on the activities that guild does. So maybe if in the previous week, a bit like when you open your Mythic Cache, if in the previous week you as a guild, as guild groups, have either completed so many Mythic dungeons or Mythic Plus dungeons, particularly at a certain level, maybe you get to increase the cap, the tax cap, according to at what level you did it. But so many Mythic Plus dungeons, or so many battlegrounds or arenas as a guild, rated battlegrounds, of course, or so many like raid bosses in a particular tier. Maybe if you do that sort of activity as a guild group, remember it's got to be classed as a guild group, then the following week you're allowed to set a tax rate. And if one week you don't do those activities, the following you don't get to set the taxes removed. So you have to have done it that way. You have to not only just have so many achievements in the guild, you have to be doing that content on a regular basis. Would that work? Would that sort of, because that would be too much work for someone who just wanted to make a guild to shovel in a wheelbarrow to their guild bank and put it into their personal bank every now and then. But at the same time, no big deal for guilds who actually would benefit from it because they're doing all that stuff anyway. And it could, as I say, it could be either raiding or Mythic Plus dungeons or, you know, decent difficulty PvP like the match PvP, rated battlegrounds, arenas. And that's the stuff they'd be doing anyway. So what do you think? Thoughts there? I'm going to bring it up again in the Tuesday talk, which I say it's 7 PM UK time every Tuesday. So I'll see you then. And if you've missed that, then I'll see you the next Tuesday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.